Ahoy hoy gang, if this is your first time with us, welcome, and if you're joining us from our previous video, hey, we love to see it, and I hope you're doing well. It's Season 8, and honestly, not a ton here for me to hate. Sure, there's some perfectly existent episodes, but we'll also get a great two-parter, some very creative fans, and so much more. So it's time to ask those three age-old questions. What worked, what failed, what Rudy MVP dreams will be curtailed. It might be destiny, it might be fate. Either way, we're reviewing Season 8. It's the season premiere, and it's just something really, really cool to watch. While The Simpsons sometimes does special couch gags, Family Guy will play around with different animation styles, Bob's Burgers decided to do something all its own. They have a fan-animated episode where different segments were done in different styles, and it's just something to behold. It's absolutely more spectacle than story, but 8 seasons deep, they've absolutely earned an episode like this. The story is still fine, just not obviously why you're watching. The Belchers do brunch because they've never talked to any chef or seen the bear. This would actually be the first appearance of Dalton, a brunch aficionado and social media personality, played fantastically by John Early. The kids want to show they're responsible enough for a dog, so they hide Felix where Calvin can't find him so he can beat Calvin's record at hide and seek. It's perfectly okay. I'm not gonna rate the episode because I just think that's uncalled for. This is a must-watch episode of Bob's Burgers, and ironically, much like the Tweakin' Craig Yowie South Park had, it shows the fan love for this series. It shows the creativity of the people that call this their comfort show of choice. Bob's Burgers has become an institution at this point. How many animated series see 8 seasons, much less 14 or 15? How many have fought the uphill battle Bob's Burgers did to be respected in a world of Peters and Homers? The creativity on display here is a celebration of Bob's Burgers' cultural footprint, and it's an utter spectacle to behold. Some of the segments I prefer over others, but the fact that it can switch from anime to Dolly-esque to Weeble Wobbles somewhat effortlessly shows just how adaptable the characters are because of how simply they're presented. You can really do them in any style and they'll never lose who they actually are. Go ahead and try and write your own Bob's Burgers story. Come up with your own A and B stories and actually write it out. You could do it with very little difficulty because the characters are just so inherently basic and a great starting point for anyone to learn how to write. Bob's Burgers is an inspiration, a celebration of the weird and out there people that make our normal everyday special, and a comfort for everyone that watches it. I'm just genuinely glad Brunchsquatch exists. It gives me hope. When the kids manage to actually hit their goal for the book fair, something awful happens. Someone broke into Mr. Fran's office and mutilated all his therapy buddies, so no one is going to the water park until this yarn monster is caught. So Louise enlists Millie, her own personal Lecter-class monster, to hunt this diabolical fiend. The B story has Teddy getting into the inspirational poster game with Janine, played by Lennon Parnham, who was also in Royal Crackers, hint hint, wink wink, nudge nudge. Naturally, it all implodes when we laugh at Teddy and his wacky hijinks, and that's honestly fine. I love a good Teddy fail. We love Teddy. Teddy's the best. Can't be mad at it all. It's just good Teddy. The A story is honestly another just really great Louise episode. When Louise isn't causing the problems that she's fixing, she's actually a phenomenal character to use. Here, she's using Millie to investigate who would want to tear these dolls asunder, except it looks like they've been very delicately mutilated. Louise does have selfish ambition, sure, but she's willing to do whatever it takes to get the prize she justifiably earned. Turns out it was actually Mr. Fran that did it so that none of the kids could go because they actually couldn't afford to take them because they spent all the money on frickin' coffee pods. I love it. I love that the faculty are becoming even more flawed yet human characters, and it reminds me a lot of King of the Hill. The teachers were mostly trying to be good people, but they're still human at the end of the day, and Bob's Burgers has really made them shine as characters. I mean, Mr. Fran has just gotten more and more desperate, and it's just kind of perfect. I love the episode, and it's an absolute must-watch. The Silence of the Louise is a yarn spinning 10 out of 10. It's our Halloween episode. Woo! There's a warning that there's a wolf on the loose, so kids have to be escorted while they trick or treat. Bob has a broken leg, so he's staying in, and Teddy is nursing him in a nurse costume while Linda takes the kids out. When the trick-or-treating isn't going anywhere, Linda decides to go and hunt for the wolf and see if they can have a spooky Halloween and even run into everyone's favorite documentarian, Randy. All while Bob, high on pain pills, thinks Teddy is turning into a werewolf because he saw a bite mark and decides to cheese it, running away in hysteria. I really love the ambiance of this episode. If it didn't have the shots and the fog that it did, this episode would not be nearly as good as it is. This is a celebration of the importance of angles and creative shots and, my God, layering. Again, think of, say, Family Guy or The Simpsons. The Halloween episodes, and just episodes in general, are going to be much flatter and not have that creeping tension and darkness in the episode. This episode only works because of the mood it sets, and it's honestly just terrific. You could take so many Bob's Burgers episodes and film them for a live-action series. It's very easy to do, but the fact that they take the time to actually make it an animated series and carry over all those creative camera angles that we take for granted in live-action series really shows how much care they're still giving 8 seasons in. It's one of the stronger Halloween episodes and one I revisit at least yearly. It's just a ton of fun. It's got mamas, it's got llamas, it's good. The Wolf of Wharf Street is a moon howling and candy enjoying 8 out of 10. Just gonna say it right now, one of, if not the worst episode of the season. Tina decides to open her own babysitting agency, and oh look, there's Tammy opening her own to get money to color her hair because her parents won't pay for it because Tammy is the worst. Gee, I sure hope she farts and does something awful. This episode is sponsored by the I Hate Tammy Club. Tammy and Tina then have to compete at babysitting the same girl, a tiny little menace named Kendra, played by Maria Bamford. Oh look, Tammy invited the friend group over to get Tina in trouble, and now Kendra is running around trying to smash them all in their ding-a-lings. I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh, Kendra is creepy with the little bear doll? Oh, that's so fun, I guess. Like, Tina called Tammy out at the start of the episode and called her horrible, which she absolutely is. But then Tammy sends it right back at Tina and says it hurt her feelings, and Tina actually apologized? No. Don't you dare apologize to whatever Tammy is. She's nothing. And like, if you're gonna have Tina apologize to Tammy, have Tammy be the one that saves the day. Have Tammy actually be doing a lot of nice things this episode, and maybe have you think, oh, well, maybe Tammy's not that bad. Have her relate to Kendra and be like, yeah, moving sucks. I hate it. Oops, that wasn't me. But that doesn't happen. None of that happens. Tina is the voice of reason, because she has to be. And it makes no sense. Zeke, Jocelyn, Jimmy Jr. all have been given justifiable reasons for why they are how they are. Jocelyn's a moron. Zeke's family moves around a lot, but he's a nice guy. Jimmy feels unseen. Tammy has been given time and time again to grow and show improvement, and she chooses not to. The B story has Bob and Linda getting a gift certificate to a burger bar where they get to try out a new high-end burger, and Teddy doesn't want to be caught eating at the burger bar, cheating on his favorite burger place, so Louise and Jean agree to smuggle him out of the restaurant until he gets caught by Bob. They all awkwardly agree the burger is nowhere near as good as Bob's, and that's it. I get it. And you know what? The B story is at least pretty great. The A story just detracts from so much of the momentum of the episode that it brings it all to a slogging halt. I have no desire to care whatever happens to Jocelyn, Tammy, or Jimmy Jr. They've been too horrible too many times to count to care. Zeke, only the best, deserves everything in the world. Sit Me Baby One More Time is a dry and unseasoned 5 out of 10. It's our Thanksgiving episode. I'm not going to do like a turkey gobble or anything. My throat hurts. Teddy is having Thanksgiving at his house this year and doesn't know what to do, so Bob and the family go to get everything set up and they find out that Teddy is, in fact, a hoarder. Linda and the kids try and clean up while Bob comes up with a step-by-step instructions to make sure all the cooking goes off without a hitch. And when the family have their own Thanksgiving is just okay, they go to Teddy's for a do-over and spend the holiday with everyone's favorite handyman. It's a beautiful episode that showcases what makes Bob's Burgers so special. Throughout the episode, Teddy is talking about his mom and how he would sit between his mom and dad to stop them from fighting, to try and fix their relationship. He hoards because he doesn't want to give up on anything. He doesn't want to say that something can't be fixed. Nobody calls him a freak or a monster. They just say he needs professional help and support him however they can. They walk him step by step and are willing to invest the time to actually be there for him like he's been there for them. And should Linda have cleaned off his dining room table when he said not to? You could argue probably not, but also she was just trying to help. Her heart was genuinely in the right place. And Teddy is a handyman because he wants to help people. Because he wants to fix things and not have to rely on anyone else. He has a vulnerability this episode, and not once is it exploited for an easy laugh. Even back in See Me Now, you can tell they're worried about Teddy. They don't know how Teddy keeps going, and here you see he doesn't know some days. And while sure, most things will be written off and next week he'll be right there at the counter eating his burger like any other week, this for the viewer is important. This shows you Teddy is still a person. He's still flawed, and that's okay. Because we're all flawed in a way. Bob's Burgers always respects its characters a bare minimum amount. They will never be made a complete and utter clown for the sake of the story. This is one of my favorite Thanksgiving episodes, and honestly one of my favorite of the entire show. Thanks Hoarding is a table set and heart-filled 9 out of 10. It's our 2-part Christmas special! Linda wants to bring some Christmas cheer to the town, so she decides to throw a Christmas party at the restaurant and even has her little tree on full display with all her family ornaments as a way of showing how into the holiday spirit she actually is. Well, after the party, someone stole the tiny tree and the family are on the case. Bob and Linda are hunting down guests while Louise, Tina, and Jean think it's the ancient Christmas evil, the bleakening. Thanks to Teddy telling him it was probably the bleakening. While going around town, Bob and Linda run into Art the Artist, played by the megapolis residing, Knights of Ren leading, born Hoosier, Adam Driver. All of this is of course a Christmas musical, and it's a real visual and audible treat. The first part ending with the kids in the industrial part of town and Bob and Linda rushing to find them. Obviously, we still have another part to go through, but just appreciate the creativity on display here. They're repurposing old songs, doing new ones, coming up with special choreography, and the musical identity Bob's Burgers has found has taken the show to a whole new level. At no point does the show feel truly cynical. You deep down want Linda to get her Christmas cheer back. You want that return to normal, you don't just expect it. You could even argue, you need that return to normal. You need to see that everything is gonna be okay. And it's a brilliant show that somehow makes you want things to stay the same while appreciating how much the characters and the narrative structure have grown. We've truly come a long way from talking mannequins. But does it stick the landing? Well, there's only really one way to find out. While exploring the industrial district, everyone finds a secret club where the entire town's collection of Christmas decorations have been stolen for a one-night, delightful rave that everyone is enjoying. Teddy is staking out the front yard in a blow-up Santa costume in the second greatest Teddy Christmas adventure, behind, of course, getting caught in a fridge and flailing like a trapped animal. It will never not be funny. The festivities at the club are led by Miss Triple Xmas, played by kinky boots wearing, Big Brother competing, Todrick Hall. What a character. Linda calls the cops, Bob pretends to be the bleaken to chase the cops away from the party, and Christmas cheer is brought back for one and all. If we never got another Christmas episode after this one, I don't think I'd be upset. This truly felt like the ultimate conclusive Christmas celebration. And honestly, recording this after finishing my season 12 watch through, yeah, there has not been a Christmas episode after this one that proves that point wrong. Fantastic songs, spectacular jokes, again, really creative scene design and set pieces, and they were actively going for some amount of visual spectacle that I appreciate the hell out of in a broadcast animated series. It's competing with Simpsons and Family Guy. It didn't need to try this hard. This Christmas special is something truly and honestly special. It's a true and proper celebration of what makes the town so unique, the people so individual, and what makes the Belchers so lovable. And it's not the kids or anyone that's the active antagonist, it's Art, this guy that you will no longer see after this episode. Goodbye, Art. Take all of the bad Christmas vibes with you. Like, literally everyone is coming together to help Linda, and she just wants to feel that Christmas cheer. Yeah, she accidentally ruined the party for everybody, but she didn't know that, and she tries to make it right. They try to do the right thing and enjoy the holidays. I don't know. I really kind of love it. The Bleakening is an antler-adorned 10 out of 10. After a rough, I don't know what breakup this is. After a rough, 19th breakup from Jimmy Jr., Tina's heartbroken on Valentine's Day, so Linda decides to take her and Louise in a pink limo to get their groove back. This would be the first appearance, that's right, first appearance of the limo-driving, lesbian, reptile-loving wonder of 1,000 professions, Nat. Nat would be played by Jillian Bell and show up from time to time in the series and is actually kind of a great addition. Legitimately had no idea Nat was going to be a recurring character, and the chaos she brings into the Belcher's life is just erratic enough, it works. She's done a little bit of everything and has a story and a half about each one. It's a really delightful A story that, gets everybody to scream and put their hands out the sunroof in the designatedly safe grocery parking lot. It's just a super A story, and the B story has Bob and Jean going to a trapeze lesson, and they can never let go, so they just hang there for hours, ruining the experience for everyone else, and Ron Funches is back. Still love me some Funch. Bob and Jean being awkward and uncomfortable suspended high in the sky, perfect. Everyone on a wild limo ride, what's not to love? It never overcomplicates itself, and honestly, this is one of the strongest Valentine's Day episodes out there. It's not going to come anywhere close to the Emmy Award-winning Bob, actually, but if anything could come close, if anything could knock it off its throne, I think it would be this episode. V for Valentine-detta is a handheld 9 out of 10. Mr. Frond introduces the brand new game that's sweeping the nation, Ga-ga Ball, and it quickly takes the school by storm, with Rudy being a surprise pro at the new hierarchy-shattering, shin-based ball-using megasport. Gene is tired of everyone getting so swept up in the game and just wants to make his shrub boobs. Zeke even gets bullied a little by an ego-boosted Rudy. It's honestly kind of great. The B story has Linda going to read to the kids at the library and sculpting a persona that'll blow that damn book wizard out of the water. I appreciate that Linda is going through all this work just to impress a bunch of kids and do something nice for her community. She just really wants to entertain kids, and that's absolutely something Linda would do and really shine at. But when the school is completely gaga for Ga-ga Ball, Gene decides to finally give it a shot and starts quickly beating people left and right, and even topples the once great Rudy. He gets the megaphone and tells everyone to just go back to what they were doing before and to have fun their ways. And convinces Mr. Frond that kids just need to be kids sometimes. Gene steps up to fight for people's freedom to not be pressured into doing anything, and even convinces Mr. Frond. What a good Gene story idea that was perfectly executed. Gene isn't insufferable, Mr. Frond isn't completely over the top, and I actually love Rudy as one of the antagonists of the episode. The B story is okay and just kind of fizzles towards the end, but it had enough substance that I never dreaded seeing more of it. Et tu, Gaga Tambien is a shin striking 9 out of 10. Louise, Gene, and Tina need to come up with a gift for their grandma, so in an attempt to do as little work as possible, they decide to try and find the secret ceramics room of the school. They do some good old detective work and even manage to find the completely blocked off room, despite Mr. Frond trying to stop them at every turn from, destroying a ton of school property. Drilling through walls, usually not the play. They get inside and we find out that Mr. Frond cheated his way to being class president when he was a kid, showing that the always assumedly flawless Mr. Frond is in fact just like us normies. That's all good and fine and totally there. But, can we talk about that B story though? Teddy decides to set up his phone repair business at the restaurant and spreads his setup across the counter, and it's just perfect, okay? His tiny screws flying everywhere, masterful, elegant, perfection. I adore this B story because I have never related to something more. His tiny little magnet to collect his tiny little screws, it's amazing. It's art. I love that Teddy is just this everyman doing everything all the time, and he's gonna end up doing something weird next week, and you better believe he's making it Bob's problem, and it's terrific. Yeah, sure, the kids find the importance of doing work that actually represents them, but consider doing an iPhone 6S on a burger counter. Mwah. Très magnifique. Chef's kiss 1, chef's kiss 2, chef's kiss 3. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Magnifique. You do not know hell until you are managing your screws on an iPhone 7. Did you know the tri-bit is a different size screw? It'll destroy the whole phone if you're not careful. It's fun. It's a ton of fun. Don't even get me started on Samsung Flip. The Secret Ceramics Room of Secrets is a battery discharging and grounded 9 out of 10. Bias. Tammy is staying with the Belchers over spring break, and she and Tina begin working to get Tammy set up with her new long-distance crush, Brett, played by Brooklyn's finest, Andy Samberg. The B story is Gene losing one of his baby teeth and having to go to Dr. Yap to get a replacement so he has something to give his mom to complete her collection. Oh, yay, this all sounds great. Look, Tammy and Tina are fighting over Brett because Tina told Tammy what to say, and Tina and Tammy are actively the worst to each other and bring out the worst in one another. What's that? Linda doesn't actually have all of Gene's teeth and just has as many as she thinks she does, and that's good enough? Oh, good. What an overall nothing, empty, vapid episode that is the living embodiment of a flat pulse. So glad I wasted 20 minutes on this. It's honestly just like the show was seeing if it could hold its breath for 20 minutes to see if it could. This is the worst episode of the season and doesn't even have an evil bear to lighten the mood. It's just nothing. I never thought I'd miss Kendra and the bear to bring this episode up from the depths. The jokes fall flat, the story is nothing, and it's just, even the sets just feel lazy. The whole episode feels like they just gave up. It's so mindless and easily one of the worst episodes of Bob's Burgers I've ever subjected myself to. Sleeping with the Frenemy is a tooth-swallowing 4 out of 10. The family forgot they signed Louise up for soccer, and on the day of the last game, the coach desperately needs her to play, so Bob takes her while Gene and Linda get ready to do a piano bar thing, when the music teacher, Miss Merkin, shows up fighting with her sister and the director of the musical she was in and just wants to get back into. That's right, it's a sports episode. Louise's team always loses in blowouts, and Bob and Louise are all on board with just letting the other team run up the score until they find out that it's always like this and they actually want to make a change and try and turn things around. This is a great, have it on in the background episode. It's never complicated, never really sets up any important plot points, and if you come into it at any point, you can pretty easily figure out what's going on. It's predictable, comfortable, and completely normal. Nothing particularly weird happens, and sometimes it's just a normal weekend day at the Belcher house. I don't know. I appreciate basic episodes like this that just minutely exaggerate otherwise everyday stories. Plus, you also get Jean interacting with Miss Merkin outside the school, and Miss Merkin is actually the, eccentric part of the conversation. It's nice having Linda and Jean be kinda normal this episode. I don't know, it's weirdly calm, and I kind of appreciate that. The Hurt Soccer is an on-key 8 out of 10. It's our first appearance of Jean's real best friend, Alex, played by Silicon Valley alum and Rick and Morty-inspired pod person, Thomas Middleditch. Jean gets invited to a sleepover, and when Alex is tired of eating his family's strictly healthy food, he decides that he and Jean need to run away, and so they completely cheese it and don't really accomplish much of anything before Jean is trying to sneak them back in. Oh, and Bob and Linda record themselves while they sleep to see who snores more. Which that's honestly the most real story I've seen out of this show. Every couple does it at least once. We've had so many good Jean episodes, and then this one is just sorta fine. And it's not even Jean's fault. He didn't tell Alex to run away, he's just along for the ride after a point. I don't know. Where the last episode was great to have on in the background, this is another episode that even if I've just watched it, if I look away, I forget the whole thing happened to begin with. It's there, it happened, that dog sure loves its treats. But there's nothing there that really makes it stand out or feel like a Bob's Burgers episode at all. Go on. Tell me Cheer Up Sleepy Jean is your favorite episode. Do it. Lie to me just like you're lying to yourself. No one has ever uttered those words. Cheer Up Sleepy Jean is soundly sleeping, no one watching, 6 out of 10. Bob and Linda are going on a miserable double date that ends up with them in an escape room where Linda accidentally texts the other wife how boring they are, and awkward tension ensues. Ruth Ann will be played by Tammy Sager, and Nicholas is played by John Gemberling. They're just the actual worst people to go out and do anything with. They're boring, impulsive, have an emotional support dog that isn't properly trained, and it's just chaos. That's really the only interesting thing about the episode, since the B story is Louise puts on zombie movies which scare everyone until Tina puts on a baby video to get everyone to look at her and laugh instead of being scared. Yup, that's definitely an idea, I guess. Sure. Again, it's just background noise at this point. The escape room is at least somewhat fun and a creative idea, but the B story really just felt more like an afterthought than anything. Which again, even at their worst, these episodes are still better than entire shows I've seen. Like, I've yet to find an episode of Bob's Burgers I'd say is worse than even Mr. Bertram's best episode. Nothing in The Good Family is good enough for me to not just throw this empty episode on instead. Even if they're nothing episodes, they're never offensively bad, and that's a charm all its own. Tammy episodes excluded, of course. Those are genuinely just bad. It just has so many familiar beats again and again and again that it just feels dragged out after a point. Oh, they're having trouble with the escape room. Oh, there's a rat running around. Quick, everybody needs to team up, and then credits roll. The trouble with doubles is a rat chasing. 6 out of 10. Tina is excited to go to outdoor camp, but it's raining, so they have to stay indoors and do cool indoor activities instead of doing the mountain climb. Tina gets stir-crazy and runs out, eventually meeting the hermit Martha, played by comedic tour de force Nicole Byer. Martha inspires Tina with how wise she is and how she totally lives out in the wild and doesn't have, a tent with stolen electricity and video games or anything. That would be crazy. Come on now. Yeah, Martha's a sham and Tina manages to climb the mountain with the power of teamwork and get her spiritual ascension moment. Andrew Daly is back this episode and he's just the best. Love any time we get old Memphis storefront in it. And did I mention he's a denizen in Royal Crackers? I'm gonna get people to watch that show, I swear. The B story has Bob and Linda being child-free for a few days and not knowing what to do with themselves as Teddy pushes them to be more and more exciting and exotic and go and have some adventures. They keep swearing they're gonna go out and then they eat a ton of cheese and pass out. They get spray tans, go clubbing, and just start to find themselves again. It's such an important distinction between background episodes and background noise. This is a perfect casual Bob's Burgers episode that, again, doesn't complicate itself, but has enough jokes and comedic timing that it actually has some amount of substance for you to latch onto. Even if you're just passing by, you may notice a new joke, you may notice new delivery that actually elicits a response from you, instead of it just feeling like static. Go Tina on the Mountain is a human bridge forming 8 out of 10. When Linda and the kids forget Bob's birthday, they start to scramble and try and come up with the mother of all special parties for him. So, while they plan, they have Bob go with Hugo and Ron on their inspector runs, where we meet restaurateur Sam, played by the Duck and Panda Man himself, Bobby Moynihan. Bob gets food poisoning, pushed around by Hugo, and the family realize that he doesn't want some surprise party where he has to pretend to know everyone. He just wants to sit and watch TV and take it easy. Bob gets his relaxing birthday and everyone is happy. I appreciate that they had an episode where they just straight up forget Bob's birthday and he doesn't make a big deal out of it. He just sort of rolls with the punches after a point, and that makes Bob just so dang endearing. Like Stan in American Dad is willing to rewrite his family's memories until he gets the perfect Father's Day because they forgot it one year. Bob understands that people are human, that it's human to forget, and it makes too much sense for Bob. Bob is always willing to give other people a ton of grace so long as they're not Jimmy Pesto. He's willing to say, it happens, people make mistakes, but he never gives himself that luxury. He always has to be the best. He always has to make the best burger. He can't forget Valentine's. He can't forget birthdays. And he does feel bad. He does get in that sort of tunnel vision. But he makes an active effort to remember important dates, to remember Linda's birthday. In the early seasons, he was forgetting things left and right. Later on, he is making an active effort to do these important days for people. Not because he was hurt that people forgot his birthday, just that he knows it's important for him to remember those birthdays. And like Ron and Hugo take Bob out and it's their way of helping out. They just want to make sure he has a good birthday, and Hugo doing something nice for Bob for no real payoff other than to do it is fantastic. There's a lot that works even if the episode does stall in some places towards the end of the third act. Are you there, Bob? It's me. Birthday is a waffle cone served. 8 out of 10. Ah yes, the obligatory kid joins the local lifeguard group trope episode. Tina is on the beach when she encounters the junior lifeguards, and oh look, she wants to join up so she can be with all the cute guys, despite the fact that, she can't swim, or run, or do anything, and has to wear glasses, and isn't really up to doing anything on the beach, but she's gonna do it! Yeah, you'll see, I don't care. Oh, and the B story? Bob and Linda offer free Wi-Fi and a cyber criminal uses their restaurant as their base of operations, so Sergeant Bosco is on the case. I love that Gary Cole is just a recurring cast member now. Bosco is great. Even back in Secret Admiraler or whatever, when he's just smacking the nephew with his report book, that's terrific. Love it. It's such a dumb but obvious plot for the restaurant that I can't be mad at it. Like, yeah, what if they did offer Wi-Fi? It's something you'd do with any restaurant sitcom after a point. The Tina A story plays out exactly how you think it would. She's worthless. She gets pushed to quit. She points out something that's going to go very badly, in this case, the sandcastle contest at the end of a marathon, and she proceeds to save the day and never goes back to what she was working on. The episode is fine. It's a very weak Tina episode that drags a ton in the A story, but the B story does its damnedest to keep any kind of momentum. It's just, If you like Tina being awkward with boys, you'll love this episode. If you think that Tina is a clear and present danger to beachgoers by offering to support them in any amount of ways, you're probably not going to love the episode all that much. Boy Watch is a sandcastle tripping 6 out of 10. Jean, Tina, and Louise are playing in the alley when a food truck wants to get through and forces them to get out of the alley so they can go about their day. Louise begins fighting with the food truck and tries to make Rudy a Make-A-Wish kid to get the cops on her side. This would also be our first appearance of the Belcher's neighbor, Mr. Huggins, played by the stand-up superstar, George Wallace. He's a fun addition to the show that does add a lot of great energy, but that's just George Wallace being as personable as possible. He's a great guy that's been in the industry for decades. He knows how to be just charming and upbeat. Otherwise, yeah, it's Food Truck v. Louise, and it's perfectly existent. The B story has Gail getting a job as a security guard at an art museum and starts thinking everyone is after the paintings, but Linda tries to be as hands-off as possible so Gail can grow up and learn some responsibility. You know, the woman that's either in her 30s or 40s gaining responsibility. What a concept. I actually really appreciate that we still have Linda and Gail episodes where the sisters are still growing in their own ways. You don't stop maturing when you're an adult. There's no magic formula to being a perfected adult, but I can tell you perfect adults probably don't accuse old men of stealing art. That being said, the jokes honestly save the episode. The B story is super sharp with the jokes, and the A story does have some moments, though Alice is just insufferable, and Brooke Dillman makes her the absolute worst in a great way. She refuses, because that left turn, man. She can't be doing those left turns. It's nonsense, but I'll take it. As I walk through the alley of the Shadow of Ramps is an alley restricting 7 out of 10. It's our second Mother's Day episode! Linda wants to go to a bunch of open houses and just look around and raid their snacks. But when she meets an agent she likes, she decides to look at a special house and tries to help her sell it. The kids look through the house and find the elderly owner with a ton of blood and taxidermied animals who thinks her son just wants to kick her out of the house so he can sell it for all the money. When in reality, he wants to sell it because it's too big for her and he wants her to move in with him so she doesn't trip on the stairs. The absolute cad. So Bob and the family pretend to be rich to hopefully sway another couple into buying the house and giving them a Mother's Day miracle. It's very much a joke and spectacle episode, and I appreciate that it keeps it simple. They're throwing taxidermied squirrels and blood buckets in a Mother's Day episode because they still have that creative dark comedy in their absolute core, and they're letting it out this episode. This is an early Bob's Burgers episode. This feels like a season 3 or season 2 episode, and it completely sings because of it. Do we need 5 holiday episodes a season? No, probably not, and we're gonna miss them when they're gone, I can tell you that much. But if they're all the same quality as this, hey, you know what? I definitely wouldn't be upset. It's got great dark jokes, solid emotional core where they show that families do still love each other as the years go on, and it works on a lot of levels. Mo Mommy, Mo Problems is a stuck in place, afraid of the future, 8 out of 10. Louise breaks the rules and trades fake, gas fume, accented Barobu cards for the one she's missing from her collection in the middle of school and gets everyone's cards taken away. And so she and the kids come up with a scheme to break into the teacher's party and get their precious cards back. The jokes honestly sell this entire story. I hate when Louise is the active antagonist, and she's absolutely the problem, even using fakes to complete her collection, which is the highest form of party foul. But again, it's just the humans being human and having some fun after work and dealing with the constant stress of the kids. And it's so fun because they're even like, yeah, no, don't invite Mr. Frond. He's weird. Let's just drink together. And that's great. They don't want to hang out with Mr. Frond after work because he's just that annoying. And to be fair, he makes it hard to like it. And it's all great. The last bit with Tina trying to climb back up the tree to show she can, fantastic. The B story, though, honestly also really worked for me. Bob has to give a eulogy at an old market friend's funeral, but everyone remembers the pickle fight he and Bob had before he died, and shun Bob until he apologizes for getting into a briny exchange of pickled cukes. It's again a really early season B story attached to an A story that I'm torn on. Hate that Louise is the reason the story starts, but it at least feels earned when she hasn't been the source of conflict all season. It's the small things that make an episode like this actually stand out. Plus, you have that dark yet light-hearted humor of Bob getting the forgiveness of his friend for, awkwardly throwing pickles at each other years ago. Mission Impossible is a tapped and attacking 8 out of 10. And here we are, the season finale. Bob is feeling his usual melancholic self when a couple comes in the restaurant and asks him to cater their wedding since they met at his restaurant. Farah would be played by the returning Kula Vilesak, and Connor would be played by the one true Dark Knight, Pete Holmes. Bob begins to have hope in his cooking, knowing that his food brought two people together that want to spend the rest of their lives with each other. Linda thinks it's way too early since they've only been dating for 3 months, and that there's no way they would know enough about each other to actually have this marriage work. And that's the episode. The wedding just completely and utterly falling to shambles, but through it all, having love and passion persevere. Where the last season finale didn't feel like a finale, this one hits all the notes it needs to hit. It's got a huge emotional core. You see Bob actually caring and going out of his comfort zone. The songs are great. The jokes are some of the best of the season. And the episode as a whole is one of my absolute favorites. Oh my god, the ceremony and then the scene with the butterflies is absolute art. I scared my wife. I laughed so hard. Just when they're throwing these little corpses up and they get taken away by the sea winds. Oh my god. There's so much heart at the core of the episode, and it's so genuinely amusing that it's Bob that's the romantic this episode instead of Linda. He wants to believe there's something deeper to everything and actually has hope for a change, which, is also reminiscent of the parade episode of the previous season, which just goes to show that should have been the season finale there. It's just sweet, and this is one of my favorite season finales of the whole show. Something old, something new, something Bob catered for you is a frosting smushed, butterfly accented 9 out of 10. And there we have it, that's season 8. Anything you think I was right on, wrong on? What was your favorite episode? Least favorite? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like what you saw, consider liking, subscribing, and telling your friends. We're out here. Season 8 was just more that steady tempo we've come to love. Some less stellar episodes, some absolutely amazing ones, and no sign of the show dropping in quality at all. Just much more introspective than anything and has taken on that identity spectacularly. But will season 9 have the same kind of peaks? Next season we'll get a lot of boys, a battle of the handymen, and a galactic invasion. Things are gonna be just fine when we review season 9. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us here at the Lecture Hall, and if you like what you saw and want to support the channel, consider joining our Patreon or membership programs today. $2 a month and you get special polls, posts, and even your name on this fancy list. Ooh. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember to stay strong, keep fighting that good fight, and know that even if you just woke up today, I'm proud of you. A rising tide lifts all ships, and I can feel one hell of a wave a-coming. Goodbye, everybody, and I'll see you all next time.